Now, when it comes to the brand Oman Luxury, I know I've reviewed a couple already. I want to review Overdose. The ones that I've reviewed are Wanderlust and Belfiore. This one is called Paramour. This is one that came out back in 2020. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this leather, raspberry, and saffron fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Paramour by Oman Luxury, I'll give you my thoughts on the notes, the performance, the comparisons, longevity, all that good stuff. Also, as far as the note breakdown is concerned, is this one going to smell like Tuscan leather by Tom Ford? I'll give you some comparisons. People online are comparing it to Tuscan leather, La Yucawam, even Godolphin by Parfum de Marly. I want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, the perfumer for this is Philippe Paparella Paris, and he is a wonderful perfumer. He's done a bunch of fragrances online. I would certainly encourage that you look him up. Now, before I begin today's video, I do want to mention that if you're interested in checking out this fragrance, you may do so at Maxaroma.com. They are a wonderful discounter that has 100% authentic and original products at really good prices. A lot of really hard to find designer and niche fragrances you can purchase or you can sample from them. I've done events at their warehouse. They have a very large variety of products that they offer, great customer shipping and or customer service, and the shipping is also very fast as well. Here's a fragrance that has a really enticing note breakdown. I mean, leather, saffron, raspberry, cinnamon, lily, vanilla, amber, tonka bean, a lot of really wonderful ingredients. And of course, whenever you think of that raspberry combination with the leather and the spices, of course, that does bring to mind fragrances like Tuscan leather by Tom Ford, or perhaps even ombre leather, despite the fact that ombre leather kind of has the emission of the raspberry. In any case, I'll let you know what I think of this one, and if I do find it to be similar to any of those other fragrances that I mentioned, let's start things off with the presentation. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get those spices that I mentioned before. There is cinnamon, there is saffron. So you do have that medley of like a leathery component, but also something that leans a little sweet. And I really appreciate the sweetness, especially for this type of a DNA. Sometimes with leather, it can smell quite aggressive or quite animalic. So thankfully, it doesn't go in that heavy of a direction, at least with this fragrance. Some of the other leather-based fragrances can be quite dominating and quite imperious, and that's not the vibe that I'm getting from this fragrance. As a matter of fact, this one is actually rather warm and it has this meditative, transportive quality about it that I really appreciate. So here's the thing, just to, let the cat out of the bag or address the elephant in the room or whatever animal-based idiom you want to use. This one is kind of similar to Tuscan leather by Tom Ford, but it's not identical. As a matter of fact, I think as far as the leather accord is concerned, you're going to find a similarity in there, but it does definitely go in its own direction. So I appreciate the originality that it has in it. This one is actually a bit warmer. There's more of an emphasis on the amber, the vanilla. The raspberry is probably not as closely linked to the saffron as something like a Tuscan leather is. So despite the fact that it does have that similarity as far as the note breakdown is concerned, this one has more of an emphasis on that vanilla, amber, tonka bean, and cinnamon. So this one comes across rather warm. Now, fragrances like Tuscan leather and even ombre leather, Godolphin by Parfum de Marly, in the opening, they can be quite aggressive. I don't get that aggression here, right? So it's not as aggressive. It doesn't have that rough around the edges vibe that some of those other fragrances do. It's going to boil down to a matter of personal choice. I think if you're a fan of something that is very extroverted, something that is quite loud and perhaps even boisterous, you might want to go with something like a Tuscan leather by Tom Ford. If you want something that's a little bit more subtle and subdued, something that's a bit warmer with more of an emphasis on the cinnamon cinnamon, the amber, the vanilla, and the tonka bean, I would recommend Paramour by Oman Luxury. I think for that reason, this one is probably more versatile than Tuscan leather or any one of these other leather-based fragrances. And I know even Montal has its own version of Tuscan leather, which is called oud leather. There's a lot of different, Tuscan leather vibe fragrances out there. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are clones or twists or inspirations or anything like that. Especially in the case of this fragrance, I do feel like there's a great sense of originality here, which I really appreciate. So ultimately, if you like leather-based fragrances and you like that type of a leather, and even more recently with Atelier Materi, Cuir Nilam has a Tuscan leather vibe to it as well. So we're seeing that there's like 2 or 3 dozen fragrances that have that leather accord. It's all about how you're going to position and present the leather accord that's really going to make the difference at the end of the day in terms of how much somebody is going to really gravitate towards it. And I do think that this one is wonderful. If you have a chance to sample it at Maxaroma, please do, because this one is really good. Again, just the smoothness of the amber and the vanilla, and the cinnamon is kind of on the same level as the saffron. Try it for yourself. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, while it does have a leather vibe that I've encountered in many fragrances before, it's all about these sort of secondary and tertiary notes that create that sense of originality and uniqueness to it. So try it for yourself. If you're a fan of leather-based fragrances, this might end up being one that you really enjoy. In terms of the longevity on this one, you're going to get about 8 hours. Projection was great for the first hour of application. It radiated within an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5, a skin scent right around hour 8. In terms of the versatility, perfectly unisex, great for every season except for the summer, I would say. Great for formal scenarios, great for an older demographic, somebody who's a little bit more experienced and mature when dealing with niche fragrances. And in terms of the presentation, the bottle is heavy. The box has a very unique way that it opens. The sleeve is a really nice addition to the presentation as well. My final verdict on Paramour by Oman Luxury is, if you're looking for a less aggressive, more versatile, more ambery, vanilla, tonka bean, and cinnamon dominant version of Tuscan leather by Tom Ford, please try Paramour. And I think because of that added vanilla and the cinnamon, it almost has like this added sensuality to it. With a name like Paramour, I mean, you can kind of make up your own mind regarding what it might smell like. But in any case, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something of value from today's episode. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Once again, this fragrance is available at Maxaroma to purchase and to sample. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.